Our next speaker is Tim Morgan. He's an attorney who lives and works in the belly of the beast over in Santa Cruz, where he is surrounded by, well, every type of leftist there is. Tim has been active in politics and in legal actions on behalf of taxpayers for 30 years or so now over there. He has been key in working with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association to fight major tax increases. In fact, Measure A here in Santa Clara County back in the early 90s, when they were trying to impose a couple of $1 billion worth of additional sales taxes, was knocked out by Tim and by a couple of guys from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Foundation. So 20 years ago, he saved you a lot of money. Tim has also worked diligently in cases involving voter fraud, and took a case all the way to the state Supreme Court some years ago over at UCSC, trying to keep students from voting. Of course, they all vote for the leftists. And so he took that case all the way to the state Supreme Court. Tim spent the better part of probably 30 years volunteering in the Republican Party. That's something that we have to make sure that we forgive him for, since we have concerns with the Republican Party ourselves. He ultimately rose to being the treasurer of the Republican National Committee in the term just before Michael Steele took over. So I think he apologizes for all the letters that he probably sent a lot of you asking for money, but that was his job, and he is now no longer part of the Republican Party organization and is enjoying his most important job, where he is now the president of the Monterey Bay Area Council of the Boy Scouts of America, covering Santa Cruz, Monterey, and San Benito counties, helping to raise that next generation of young men who will be leaders in our country and who will someday hopefully be standing right here telling the next generation of you all why we ought to be enjoying our freedom and our liberty and opposing all the same things we know we're going to be seeing in 20 years from the left. So, Tim Morgan, Santa Cruz, come on up, Tim.
Thank you for your very, very kind introduction. The prayer that opened this proceeding today had a line that was very moving. It actually had many lines that were moving, but one I want to remember right now. And that is, we stand here for millions. We do. We are Americans, and we stand here for millions of other Americans to secure their freedom. And thank you for being here. The Democrats and the cultural left are at war with everyday Americans, by whom I mean those who do not see themselves as victims. All instruments of the left, including the mainstream media, Hollywood, most big universities, government workers, they propagandize incessantly that it's people like us, Tea Party patriots, constitutional conservatives, who lust to control other people's lives and tell everybody else what to do. We're the ones who want to take other people's freedoms away, they say. Well, it's only the Democrats who stand as protectors between Americans and the threat of a new right-wing authoritarianism. This lie has been repeated so often and so boldly since the days of the Great Depression that it is now an article of faith, not only among Democrats, but also among those who don't follow politics particularly closely, who are often the decisive voters in close elections. Therefore, before constitutional conservatives like us can hope to claim the mantle of national leadership, everyday Americans must for you. You can't ask them a whole bunch of things that are off the table, and if you decide not to employ somebody, you risk being sued because maybe that's a person you can't, for any reason, not have come to work for you if they want to. That's something we didn't have to contend with when we were young. Then there's a war by the left on retirement. And I'm speaking here of the left's misuse of Social Security, diverted for all purposes under the sun, funded by worthless government notes. There's no money there, and it's going to run completely dry. I've read that more young people believe in the tooth fairy than believe they'll ever collect a dime of Social Security, and they're right. And then you got the Obama administration floating the proposal to take private retirement pensions, 401s, and replace those with a promise to pay at a defined rate. Social Security too. And then there's war on health care. Obamacare is Exhibit A. Replace a private health care system with choice, with one that doesn't work like in Great Britain and Canada, and that, as Paul Ryan has projected, will take 88% tax rate of all Americans within 30 years just to pay for. It cannot work. Well, that's a list, but by no means an exhaustive list of all the areas in which the left has declared war on ordinary Americans. It affects your job. It affects your income. It affects your school. It affects your home. It affects what you do for recreation, how you get to work, what you can teach your kids. It's a broad, endless list. And the time has come to stand here on this square for millions and say, we won't take that anymore. Thank you.